podcast.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yes.
Drink a packet of beer and some bacon.
Welcome to the podcast where you can find all your propane and propane accessories.
That is good.
Oh my gosh.
Welcome to the podcast. Boomhauer over here. Dad, I knew that Mountain Ops wasn't right.
Dude, you can do it off of a whim. That's pretty impressive.
Well, when you grow up in Kansas and you got nothing else to do.
What you just heard, folks, is the incredibly talented and unique Cole Kramer. And it's a little sneak peek into what today's episode is like. So on today's podcast, we hang out with our good friend Cole Kramer, guide and outfitter, entrepreneur.
He has two businesses.
Bear
he runs.
Bear hunter extraordinaire.
Bear Slayer.
Just an all-around awesome dude. Good friend. Love the guy. If you can go on a hunt with Cole, it's expensive, but if you can, it's almost worth paying just for the entertainment, just for the companionship. I've spent some time around Cole. I love the guy. He's a good human being. We've had lots of conversations with Cole about things deeper than just the jokes and the hunting, and he's a good dude. And so today's episode is with Mr. Cole Kramer, and we dive into a little different stuff than just hunting. You know, we get into health and fitness and wellness, and Jordan Harbertson joins us on this podcast, and Cole is a closet CrossFitter.
He is.
He's a total closet CrossFitter.
Yep.
So we're outing him now. He's coming out of the closet and on this podcast.
And not only is he a CrossFitter, he's a sadistic one.
Yeah.
He's one of those 5A-Mers, dude.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not a... No.
So Cole's fit. You know, one thing I'll say, last night I did a CrossFit. I like to follow Chris Spieler. He's a good friend of mine. I've always appreciated his programming. And he has Icon Athlete and Grunt Workout. I steal a little bit from each of those programs.
You hodgepodge something together.
Yeah, and I just and then I do hiking up the mountain like we did the other day with heavy packs. And I just think distance, long, slow distance with heavy packs up mountains is exactly what we do. Mm-hmm. And there's no replacement for that. But I will say this, I did the bear hunt with Ryan Lampers and Jeff Lusk, and I just came back from an incredible New Zealand tar hunt and chamois hunt in the Southern Alps of New Zealand. And both of those places were straight up vertical mountains, huge elevation gain and losses, straight up, straight down with heavy packs.
And your ground was unstable almost the entire time. You guys are going up like shale.
Yeah, in both locations, although New Zealand was worse by far just because of the snow. Mm-hmm. But I'll say that for me, I didn't turn an ankle. I didn't twist a knee. I didn't hurt my body in any way. I didn't have any back problems. I'm right on that 45-year-old mark. So is Ryan Lampers. He's a touch older than me. Mm-hmm. Although he looks 100 years older than me. I mean, let's be honest.
If he walked out of the woods, you would think he's Rip Van Winkle.
So the thing is, for me, I don't exercise and do CrossFit to have a physique I do it because it's functional fitness for me. And one-legged squats, being proficient at those, being able to do a heavy back squat and a heavy deadlift, being able to press heavy weight overhead, all those things just, I feel like, stabilize my joints, give me strength, and help me prevent me from experiencing injury when I'm doing the things I love. And so that's why I do it. Yesterday was like 100, I did 30 clean and jerks for time, ran a mile for time, all this for, it's all one big workout. I did 25 strict pull-ups for time, and then real strict, slow and strict, and then another mile, and then 100 burpees. All that stuff got my heart rate up, got my body moving. I was lifting loads intensely, but while maintaining form and function. each piece was a little different, but that combination for me really does help me when I get on the mountain. The day before that, I hiked 3-4 miles with a heavy pack up the mountain. And I feel like that combination of CrossFit and then the hiking for me. But I do believe strongly in strength training.
Isn't that exactly what grunt work is, though? It's basically a CrossFit adaptation with hiking and rucks thrown into it.
Exactly. It's kind of a blend, but it's a lighter. It doesn't require any fancy equipment. You can do stuff from like with logs and bricks or rocks in your
Get
yard.
a 60-pound concrete bag, duct tape the whole with jeebers out of it, throw it in your pack. You've got 60 pounds of solid, stable weight.
Or to get a brute force sandbag. I mean, there's lots of cool things you can do. A sled pull, it can actually be like a wheelbarrow, full of
cheap stuff.
Yeah. So Chris really put together a garage kind of workout or home workout program through Grunt Work, and I think it's really cool. And I also think that it's more scaled to the beginner, in my opinion, but can be fairly advanced as well. But it's just such a solid program that's fun. Do it at your house, in your yard, in your garage.
It's a great foundation for wherever you're at, and if you're farther along than most folks, you can take that foundation and create a great program.
I like to do the I've been doing CrossFit more 10 years maybe. I like the barbell work, and I like a lot of that stuff, which isn't in grunt work because it's just at home stuff. But what I like about grunt work too is you're picking up a stone and lifting it and dropping it, which is very much like picking up a chamois and carrying it down a hill. After you've. So it's good stuff. But in today's podcast, we cover that fitness kind of stuff, and I think it's really beneficial. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, we just launched our hat and T-shirts. So if you're a big fan of Gritty, we love you, and we'd love for you to go out and support us. Get a hat and shirt. Go to briancall.com and shop.
They're I wouldn't call them. I don't want to use the word basic. What's a more classy word?
Classic branded
clean
apparel.
They're clean. They're clean apparel.
Yeah.
Solid colors, good logo, and I dig the hats.
Yeah.
They're a comfy hat.
They're pretty simple. I didn't want anything too flashy, right now. We're just trying to get it up and running. So, but we have some cool ideas that are going to be fun to implement now that we kind of have a established process and stuff, and hope you guys like what the creative stuff we're coming up with. We'll be launching. The other thing I wanted to talk about was that New Zealand trip and the bear hunt. We recorded the videos from the bear hunt. And we produced those on YouTube, and they were super well received. And one of the reasons, I think, because they're so relatable. Anybody can go buy that tag. A non-resident is $40 for a tag. And, anybody can just go out and do it. It's easy, and it was all public land. And I think people are fascinated by bears, like all predators in general, and people are becoming educated on the virtues of bear hunting, including not only hide and its value, but meat. People have overlooked that for too long, and the fat, the rendered fat. So I think that the tar hunt, on the other hand, I think people have an idea in their mind, it's overseas, it's New Zealand, it's this epic thing, it's this once in a lifetime. And in reality, it costs less than a drop camp in Canada,
Alaska, anywhere,
or even Idaho or Montana.
Yep.
That's why I want people to understand the value of what it is we're doing. And so Ryan and I did it all do it yourself, and we did it all on public land. And I think people are going to enjoy that as much as they enjoyed the bear hunt. And I hope they do. I hope they walk away from this new YouTube series with a thorough understanding of what the value of that adventure and how relatable and doable it actually is, even though in your mind, because I've always been intimidated by going overseas or
getting a passport's a pain in the butt, dude.
Or even just the cost. You don't know. You get over there and you're like,
do they have weird Monopoly money over there, or is it green like it should be?
Yeah, it's colored, but I mean it's But the thing is, at the end of the day, it's really not as complex or it's a great way to start your international travel if you're going to try it.
I think people just put up roadblocks and they overcomplicate it because that was not difficult.
No, not at all. So I think I hope people enjoy that. Brent had some comments you wanted to go over.
I pulled a couple down off of, because we haven't really read any of the comments off of our bear videos yet, and we got a couple hundred of them. So I went through and found a couple juicy ones that I liked, and I'll read them for you guys. So starting off, we have one from Daniel Gillette. He says, extremely well put together video. I love the info updates / gear tags a lot, especially the Ryan Lampers is a hippie fact. Which I think goes without saying. I'm pretty sure if you just saw Ryan, you go, nah, okay.
Come on.
Yeah. Nathan Yunkin. Mr. Call, just want to say that I've enjoyed all of your past films, but I feel like this series is next level. Can't wait to see what you have in store for the future. Awesome job, gentlemen. Stay gritty. Do you think this is the best series you've done yet? Because I know where it ranks for me personally. I'm just curious about you as far as like your body of work that we've put out.
This right now of what I produce with the bear footage is really my style. Mm-hmm. It really is kind of how I wanted to, how I like to do it, but felt like I needed to add more to it because that's what people wanted.
I feel like it almost wraps your podcast into it for the fact that there's so much info being given out.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's gritty. It's about learning, being better.
My taste has evolved over time, what I like to watch. Mm-hmm. And this is a reflection of that. And I think, I'll give a shout out to the hunting public. Mm-hmm. Aaron Warburton, Greg, the guys down there. I have watched far too many turkey hunting videos this season.
Me too.
For being a guy who doesn't even turkey hunt, right?
Yep.
But I find the hunting public, their content clean, concise, to the point. They have well executed and developed action scenes, like when the turkey actually comes into a call. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm there in the moment with them, and I find myself watching a hunt because I'm learning from it. Mm-hmm. And as I watch that, and I consume all the hunting content that's out there, I like it, always have, but I'm also kind of curious at seeing what's new. Mm-hmm. And I kept going back to the hunting public over and over again. And I love Born and Raised. I watched a lot of their stuff, and I watched Hush, and especially when they finished like a Land of the Free season, I'll pop in there and I'll watch a ton of their stuff. Mm-hmm. Their bear hunting, I was watching all their bear hunts this year from Born and Raised. But I keep going back to the hunting public over and over again and thoroughly enjoying it. And I think what it was is it's a clean edit. It's efficient. It's quick. There's no extra content in there, really. It's just, this is the hunt and this is what we did.
I never see an image or a clip and think, why was that there?
Or I don't see a talking head a lot.
That's true.
So what happens is I feel like I learn. I don't know how to turkey hunt, but I've watched enough of their videos. I've actually kind of got a great idea on how it's done, even though I really haven't done it much. I mean, I've been on two turkey hunts now, one last year, one this year, and it was really educational. So I picked up a lot from that. Why? And I asked myself, why do I keep going back to that content? Well, because I learn. It really comes down to learning. And I felt like that's where I want to be. I want to produce stuff that people find useful like that.
The greatest teachers are the ones that teach you without you even knowing.
Learning can be fun, and that's the best combination, So
I got another one from a guy named Darren Call. Shout out, Mr. Call. I just busted out laughing in the middle of my office when the Indiana Jones music came on. Nice touch. Fun series to watch, Brian. Appreciate your work.
It was funny when we did that. We actually put a couple of mainstream music sequences in the film.
YouTube's a bunch of butts.
And YouTube shut our video down like 7 times.
They didn't like just demonetize it. They're like, you can't even play
You
this.
can't play this in any. First, it was like you can't play it in the United States, but it'll play everywhere else.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
You know what? China was always on the list.
yeah, they were fine. They were always good. But if you switch to a different song, they were like, sorry, but now you can't play it in any country in the world. And then we kept playing with songs that
Would
we don't have copyright for.
Yeah.
That YouTube generally under like a common license, sometimes you can put 7 to 15 seconds worth of normal some music on there and mainstream
For
like
the creation of a parody of some sort.
right, and YouTube will let it slide. So we knew that, but there was a few songs that you couldn't get even 1 second playing.
We didn't mean to go with Bob Marley crossing the river at first. It was supposed to be Flow Rider.
Yeah, which was legit when
It was
when
so
it's like
great.
low rider, and you had Lampers like rowing,
hair
and his
flowing.
hair's flowing and it was so perfect.
Yep.
I loved that scene.
But that was the song where they shut us down completely.
Across
but not
every-
Indiana Jones.
No, Indiana Jones was okay to use, but we could not. It all boils down to the licensing and the decision of the maker of the
Which is
content,
impossible
the
to
owner.
navigate through YouTube. They don't have.
You don't know.
You don't know until
So
you
you
put it
kind of
up.
throw it up and see if it sticks. So people were like, well, the video was there, and then it's gone again. The video was there, now it's gone again. And the video was there. And a lot of that just had to do with putting the music, the film up, and then getting rejected. Like, because YouTube would let it play for 20 minutes or so, and then
until their
they'll go-
algorithms catches it and they go, whoop.
then they cut it off. And so it was embarrassing. We're learning.
Whenever you put anything on YouTube and it has music, YouTube will automatically flag you, and then you have to go in and you have to dispute it every time, no matter what.
for us anyway. I've heard that people with 100,000 subscribers or more, like if you talk to Hush,
They have agents that they can talk to.
right?
through YouTube.
They have more power, more support
more pull.
than us peons. So that's another reason why, if you want to support Gritty, go and subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can get some power.
We just need someone to talk, or if anyone works at YouTube, holla at
Yeah.
us. We just want to know what we're doing.
Yeah, and just with the way censorship is nowadays on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube and Google and stuff like that, more I would say, activities that like hunting, bear hunting, that go against mainstream. We just got a target on our backs for censorship, and so we try to be very careful in how we do it. And
You can
make
get
sure-
demonetized for your thumbnail.
And to be honest, I don't really monetize anything on YouTube. I know a lot of other guys do, and what it does though is it creates tons of administrative work for me because I'll have a video up for 4 months, and YouTube will then come along and just say, "Well, yeah, we demonetized it now," and then you have to fill out a dispute form, and then you have to get it all back up. And I'm like,
And
you know
if
what?
you dispute it, you only get 3 strikes.
And yeah,
And
if-
those strikes come, you can't get rid of them.
If you win, you don't get a strike at all. But if you lose the dispute, you're like, boop, strike 1. And then once you got 3, you're out. Like, you get penalized for disputing. So it's kind of, it's just a,
On the bright side, Jordan Peterson, our Lord and Savior, is coming to rescue us, and he is making his own YouTube.
we'll see. We'll
Crossing
see.
fingers, folks.
I really feel as though, to me, YouTube does not pay me enough to go through their crap for monetization. I feel like I'm tripping over dollars to pick up pennies when I try to monetize the podcast, the YouTube videos. It's not worth it. So we pay for all our music. It's licensed. Everything's legit, above board, yet we still have to go through these hoops and do all these emails weeks over weeks over weeks. A lot of people were like, well, dude, I love the intro song for your podcast, and I really want it to
On
hear
all of
it on at the start of the show. And I'm like, every single show we publish, sometimes 3 or 4 a week, we had to go through a process of getting
disputing it.
disputing it. We had to dispute every single podcast.
And the only way to not miss out on money is to load that podcast up, and it has to be up for 3 or 4 days while we go through this dispute process before we could actually let you see it.
Yeah.
So there'd be a 4-day delay on average if we were to actually try and monetize with music and stuff.
And so I got to the point where unfortunately, I dropped some of the music at the start of the show sometimes, or switch songs because for whatever reason, if I did 50 episodes and proved I had a license it's a perpetual
for
license.
the same license, the same song,
same license. It's like they're too stupid to go, okay, this is the same song that he has a license for and has shown us 50 times.
And there's no way to send in a copy of the license anywhere.
And we're not like Hush. We don't have a person. Folks, sign up, subscribe, give us power.
Let's keep going with some questions. Joshua Anderson, does anybody know what puffy jacket Ryan Lampers is running in this?
So Ryan is wearing what he calls the best puffy jacket on the planet, which is a Stone Glacier puffy. I've never worn it. I can't say yay or nay. I will say that in New Zealand, I wore my Kafaru Lost Park parka. Still, I love that thing. It's ugly. It's ugly. There's no way around it. And mine's a pullover. It's not a zip up. I know Kafaru makes a zip up now. But that Kafaru, it's bomb proof. Even wet, cold. I mean, it's a piece of kit that I still a huge fan of. But I'm very curious to see what that Stone Glacier puffy is like. Ryan wears it constantly, all the time.
I don't think the last 4 times I've seen him, he's been wearing it.
And I'll use the Kafaru Lost Park parka in the same way, where we wad it up, it's in our pack, a top lid or whatever, and then we'll pull it out, take it off, pull it out, take it off, constantly in and out of the bag. First thing in the morning, Ryan has to put the jacket on in the morning, in the evening, so all is right with the world. I mean, he's like, he's a little skinny. As soon as I put it on, it's like the world has become fresh and new again. But I mean, it's an excellent piece of kit, I think. I wear the Sitka Kelvin Light hoodie, but it's more of an active wear puffy, and not at the warmth level that you needed for what we were doing when you saw Ryan in the Stone Glacier. And Sitka makes just a bomb-proof, wind-proof, super warm puffy. I forget what it's called, the WS, wind stopper. It's got everything. It's like a ski jacket. It's pretty thick. It has a stuff sack and it can get pretty small. It's definitely built if Ryan's has the same fill, the same treated down inside of it that the Stone Glacier sleeping bag has in it.
Oh, so it's basically putting a sleeping bag on.
Yeah.
That's
the same kind of, I think it's the same ones, the sleeping bag and the jacket, I think are kind of made out of the same stuff. I'm pretty sure I should just interview Stone Glacier and get all the details, which I will. I'm actually planning on that. But in the meantime, I kind of gravitate to my Lost Park parka more than the Sitka giant, thick puffy, just because it's got less loft. And when you're wearing something that's just puffed out, that's great if you're in blizzard. But a lot of times I'm just kind of sitting there hanging out. I just want to throw it on, take it off, throw it on, take it off, and it's pretty thick. It's got a lot of loft.
My body produces heat, unlike some people.
Yeah.
So I have to have the option of shedding clothes and putting them on constantly.
Yeah. I mean, I like the Sitka version. Jay Beyer wore it 24/7 when we were in BC.
Again, not
Skinny.
a lot of, yeah.
Lean. We'll say lean.
Lean. He's very lean.
But the sleeping bag, what is it called? The Kilo Crete or the Kilo Cut?
Chilkoot?
Chilkoot. There we go.
Chilkoot?
The Stone Glacier sleeping bag, the Chilkoot. I will say I really did love the thing. It's super comfy. It's so compact, super lightweight. I got to admit, though, I still am in love with my Kafaru slick bag. It's got the top zipper, which I really like. This weekend...
Isn't the Chilkoot the one that cuts you off at the knees?
Yes, but it's actually still fairly roomy. I have to backtrack on that.
Really?
I think really the issue for me was it's just too warm for the conditions we were in, and it was uncomfortable. Just because it was too hot. And I wanted to spread out further, mostly just
To air out?
to air out. But when I was in those cold conditions, that sleeping bag I didn't feel cramped at all in it. So, it's hard to say. I love the Chilkoot, but I also love that Kifaru slick bag. I'm on the fence on both of them. The Chilkoot is much lighter, still roomy, so comfortable. It did get damp a few times in New Zealand where it was super cold, and you'll see on the films what we're dealing with. And once it gets cold, the treated down is spectacular, but it still lost a lot of loft. Mm-hmm. But then we stuck it in front of a fire, and it dried out in like 3 minutes.
Wow.
Like it was just dry and loft, just huge loft all of a sudden. And it was like, so, but if it got real wet, you're just hosed, it's still down. And so that's always the drawback with down. But you're also shaving like a pound, I think, in weight between the bags. So I don't know, man, everything has like as they say, someone gets paid, it's lighter weight, but is down and could have a problem. Down feels better, breathes better, but again, if it gets wet, it's screwed. And you got this, like the slick bag is all artificial, synthetic fill.
You just got to get the right tool for the right job, just depending on the hunt.
Yeah. Ryan loves his sleeping bag more than life itself. I mean, so shout out to the Chilkoot.
That name.
Yeah.
I gotta
you can
know.
see why I struggle with it a little bit.
Yeah, Chilkoot.
Yeah.
How did you come up with these names?
We should probably get on to the podcast. Anything else we need to?
We do have one from our buddy Dwayne.
Yes. Dwayne Sessions.
Mr. Sessions. He says, wow.
Trophy husband.
Extraordinaire. Talk about a triumphant return to the YouTube videoverse. Great format, awesome information, and amazing people.
He's a little biased.
Maybe, a little bit.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Two other questions I do want to go over. Todd Probosco asks, or says, Ryan Lampers needs to do a series on hair care in the backcountry.
Hear that, Ryan? I think his hair care is 0. Have you seen how nappy it is?
I was
going to
say, I'm pretty sure it's wake up, put the beanie on, and hope no one notices.
There's a few. I'm like, it's all dreadlocked. It looks like it's rotting out the back, And then he actually showered when we were in New Zealand.
Oh wow! Where?
Yeah, toward the end. Normally he just saves it for Hill, like all the grime. So when he walks in, rolls in, he can just hug her and kiss her and like really
whatever. I could see her with a fire hose waiting at the door for him to open.
And but he gave in, I think, because he had like a 24-hour airplane.
For real,
ride,
if he got next to me on an airplane, he and I would be having words.
And he's tar stink like goat sex.
Oh,
so
yeah, they
just like whoa.
One more, Leonardo Paletto. Why kill a bear?
I think the last podcast we did on canning bear meat kind of answers that question in large part. I've been sharing my bear meat with.
Speaking of, I need to get
family and
give
friends,
it all away.
Just everybody that's seen it that stops in and they just got to try it to believe it for themselves. And so I think every single person who's partaken is a believer. They all want to bear hunt now. They all see the value in it in a way. There's some connection we have with food. It's powerful. And when you have a species that is on the rise and is thriving and that is being well managed, it's a natural recurring resource like black bear. It's in the spring, this hunt. It doesn't conflict with some of the fall hunts. I think people are really seeing the value, If
you have a large family like we did growing up, one elk, that's not going to feed you for the year. It's just not.
Yeah.
I mean, one big game animal, people are looking for ways to extend their hunting seasons, and bear's fun.
Well,
it's tasty.
It's an incredible hunt. You get to watch bears in the wild, harvest them, bring them home, like the whole package. The coat is versatile and useful. You're harvesting more than just meat. You're harvesting a quality fur, which has value as well. It's a whole experience, right? And I think people are making that connection between the food and the animal, which it's so funny because back in Daniel Boone's day, it was the food,
meat, yep.
It was
the most
it was,
sought after.
Yeah, it wasn't even like a question.
You didn't share your bear meat with others.
So now, people are reconnecting that. Renella's done a lot to educate people on bear hunting. A lot of folks have. Donnie Vincent just came out with his film, The Other Side, all about bear hunting and his bear hunting journey. And so I think ideas and education around bear hunting is shifting, and people are seeing the value of that hunt. And it's not just the meat, though. It's not just the bear. There's the conservation management perspective, right? Like, we have ungulate populations that struggle in certain areas, especially. And bears are known for being the top.
They're fawn killers, dude.
The top fawn and calf killer. Their noses are incredible. They can find a newborn.
We were in Prince of Wales. You remember we ran to that deer who gave birth on the side of the road, because the bears don't go near the road, and the deer have learned to give birth next to a road.
Yeah, you just drive down the road in POW in the springtime, and they're just boom, 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 boom. They're just fawns.
We left,
littered.
came back 10 minutes later, and there was a fawn. That fawn was less than 10 minutes old.
And it's interesting because the bears are a little reluctant to go to the main road, and so the fawns the deer figure that out, but also I think the statistic is 50%, or was it more? 55, some unreal percentage of Prince of Wales fawns are killed by bears. So I think it was 1 out of 2 are killed by bear. It
was a lot. It was enough that you were like, whoa, that's not good.
Well, I think that particular place, they can. The deer seem to be able to handle that predation level, but there are other places in the world where that's not the case. They're struggling. Maybe the wolves have been introduced. They've taken a toll. Maybe it's with mule deer, it's a population thing, or a habitat thing. But
I was going to say, we kind of jack their habitat and like to build cities.
Yeah, but I think people are connecting. Okay, there is a purpose in killing predators. That keeping a predator population low. And I think people are learning that, an old boar
serves no purpose. They can't reproduce.
Yeah, it kills a lot of young cubs and just wreaks havoc on. You actually get more bears when you kill bears.
It's weird.
So at least
counterintuitive.
In some ways, if managed right, you can get more bears by killing older bears. So I don't know. Some people asked, did we kill a sow or boars on this hunt? Just to clarify, we shot 5 bears, and one of those 5, which is the one that I shot, was a sow.
The last bear,
and she was older than dirt and huge, massive. Like, we thought she was a boar at distance, especially.
It's really hard to judge sex on bears. Yeah,
it really is. And beautiful giant sow, beautiful coat, beautiful bear, old, didn't have any cubs. One of the things with bear hunting is you do want to kill, in general, the boars, because it takes them a long time to have another set of cubs. Black bear's not so bad as like a
grizzly or something.
But I think a black bear cannot have cubs until they're 3 years old.
It's a couple years.
So they got to be pretty old.
And then after they get pregnant, they're out of the game for a couple more years.
Yeah, because like humans, when we have children,
we raise them.
They take a long time to finally be released to be out on their own, right? And that's how black bear cubs are. They take a couple of years being with mom before they can strike out on their own. It's not like other animals where they hang out with mom for a month or two and then boom, then they're gone. Bears are different. So,
and the boars will try to come along.
If it takes 2 or 3 years for her to become, to be able to have
cubs again,
then it takes another 2 years before the cubs leave that she had,
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about a 5-year from her birth to when she can be bred a second time, a 5-year window.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take her out of the population, you got to start over again with a new sow cub or whatever, and it takes her years before that turnover process takes place. And so if she can only have cubs every other year or every 3 years because she's raising maybe 2 cubs that she had, that means, by taking her out of that population, you just seriously impact the population. Whereas you have other animals like, like a deer, who I swear I've seen them like pedophilia, like bred from like as a fawn. I mean, they can be born and then get bred like right away. They can give birth to a fawn, and that fawn's up and running, and then the next spring they do it again, and they do it again, and they do it again. And you take a female out, and it's like there's another one there that'll have a baby the next year. Whitetails, right? But bears are not like that. So killing sows has a dramatic impact on the population. So being really careful on harvesting only mature. That's why, in most states it's not legal to kill a sow with cubs. Because when you kill the sow, if she has cubs, you've signed the death sentence for those cubs.
Yep.
Most likely, because they're not old enough to survive on their own. They haven't learned enough. They
can't protect themselves from the wandering old boars either.
Yeah. And so that's why, like, you're always looking to see if they have cubs, and if they don't have cubs, either the cubs were killed or it's a boar.
Yeah.
Or it's a super old sow.
And you guys glassed every single one of your bears for quite some time before you guys ever went and moved on them.
Yeah, we watched them a long time. And again, we were pretty spot on with all of our estimates on what was a boar and what was not a boar. My boar, the blonde one, is a very small bear, but I was looking for meat and a coat, and you could tell he was a boar by his behavior. Ryan was watching him for a long time, and certain things he did, he's like, that's what a boar's doing. That's what a boar does. That's how he behaves, how he marks territory. That's how he, does his thing. Yeah, we were pretty certain what we were taking.
I don't think there's an animal I like watching more than bears.
Well, for those that enjoyed that series, we do have another video coming out. We're working on it right now. We're trying to get it out, this week. If we can't, it'll be first of next week before the Total Archery Challenge. So, by the way, folks, come and see us at the RMEF Park City. It's Canyons Village in Park City. Come see us there at the Mountain Festival. Whether you have tickets to the Total Archery Challenge or not, they're in the same location. If you are coming to Park City for TAC, you got to check out the Mountain Festival too. Corey Jacobson's going to be there with Randy Newberg answering elk questions. Rocky Mountain Calls is going to be doing elk calling contests. You have Traeger Grills there doing some things. You have John Dudley's going to be there
Traeger's
doing some podcasts. Yeah, cooking food.
I hope so.
I'll be there doing some live podcasts. I have a live podcast with Shane Mahoney on Saturday. Go to the RMEF webpage and look at the Mountain Festival event details, and you can see all the stuff that's going on. There's a schedule there. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be fun. If you didn't get tickets to TAC, swing up there to the Mountain Festival. They're right in the same area. And then bring your bow. You can still go shoot all the practice targets and hang out in the Commons area at the Total Archery Challenge. Even if you don't have a ticket to go up on the lifts. And there's products, gear, vendors, and all kinds of people there.
And you still go practice and shoot too.
You can still shoot. You still hang out in the Commons area. It's great.
It's just cool. You get to go hang out with hunters.
Yeah. So there's the Mountain Festival. That's next week, July 11th
through the 14th.
Through the 14th.
Yeah.
So come on out and see us there.
And the following week, there's the attack in Bozeman too.
Yes, the Total Archery Challenge in Bozeman the very following week. So, again, even if you didn't get tickets, you could still hang out in the Commons. You can still come and shoot the practice targets, which there's like 100 of them on the hill. You can do the novelty shoots and
Go
things.
shoot some Sasquatches and dinosaurs.
Yeah, and try to win a truck or whatever. There's different things you can participate in down there. The live podcasts, I'm going to do one on Thursday afternoon, Friday afternoon, Saturday afternoon, and Sunday afternoon up at the Mountain Festival.
Wow, you're going to be a busy boy.
So you got Dudley's doing some. You got Corey Jacobson, like I said, Randy Newberg also doing live. So you want to swing up there and check that out at the Mountain Festival. I'll be doing one, like I said, with Shane Mahoney on Saturday. I got one. I got a couple with Ryan Lampers. We're going to get together and go over, some of this bear hunting stuff, because we never did cover that.
Nope.
That hunt. So that all the films from that, we're going to kind of dive deeper on the subject of bear hunting and then elk hunting, because it's the RMEF and it is elk. And Ryan kills big elk every year. So we're going to try to tap into Ryan's techniques and Ryan's knowledge and experience. Having spent some time hunting with Ryan, I feel
like you've changed your approach to hunting a lot just from the couple times you've gone with him.
I would say that the big difference, one of the biggest differences, or holes in my approach, I feel, is where Ryan has really taught me some things, is patience. Ryan is patient, really patient, methodical, conservative, careful.
Didn't he tell you he hadn't nicked himself skinning an animal in over 20 years?
Something like that, yeah.
That's insane.
But
I just go into it knowing I'm walking away all sliced up.
Ryan is methodical. So the patience thing, that's big, and then the scouting, the early season, preseason scouting. Ryan, and I, not just Ryan, but I will say that I've done more scouting in the last 3 years than I did in my whole hunting life before that. And part of that was, a lot of guys are in the same boat. It's time. It's like, I got 7 days to hunt. I got a tag in Idaho. I'm going to use all 7 days during the hunt. It's hard for me to get away from my job to go spend a week before the season and then also a week hunting.
And e-scouting's hard.
E-scouting has we always did that. I kind of relied on Anthony to do most of the legwork on that.
Because he just likes that stuff.
Because he digs it, right? I also rely on Ryan to do a lot of it too. Because Ryan, you do your thing, man. And I'll film and publish videos. You do the scouting. But, I would say that scouting and patience, waiting out an animal, tracking, following it, relocating it, day after day after day, willing to sit there and kind of go, oh, well, I've seen this bull come out of this basin 3 times out of 6 days. And he seems to water right here. Like that patterning process. I've done it for blacktail a lot. I've done it on some whitetail type hunts, but Ryan applies it to everything. So, we'll do some more podcasting with him. I'll try to get Carter as well, because he's
Ryan Carter.
Ryan Carter's just a blast.
BC Outfitters.
I never get tired of talking to him. And so come out for those live shows if you want to. Of course, they'll be on Gritty after the event is over. But if you want to come by and say hi, we'd love that.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoy this show with Cole. Give him a follow. He's a stud.
Yep. Sign up for our newsletter and subscribe to us on YouTube.
Get a shirt and hat.
Yeah, get some swag.
Yeah. And
please get some swag.
Stay gritty.
Stay gritty.
Hey, guys. Just get podcast sucks. It's where I get all my current events from. Not Fox News. South Park. They're actually pretty up to date.
They are. All right. I'm actually really impressed, Cole. Very impressed with your ability to imitate.
You're not impressed with my abilities as a guiding?
No,
or
I haven't
hunter
seen it.
No.
It's all on Instagram. I know it's fake.
That's true.
But this, I've seen it. It's real, and I can feel it. you know?
Yeah. You
So-
know, growing up, I was constantly mimicking sounds, beating on my chest, like trying to, make all sorts of weird sounds, and my parents really enjoyed those moments. I know they did.
Were you like a class clown or?
Not really, I don't think so. I mean, I was
Were you
pretty
the cool
good,
kid?
I think. No, horribly uncool. I knew people. I knew everyone.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like now it's like your network, and I knew everyone from people that weren't very well known at all
Mm-hmm.
to maybe some of the other kids that were pretty well known. I was probably maybe in the middle.
What was that Hunsucker kid? Like, was he?
Mike.
Yeah, that Heartland
Mike
dude.
Hunsucker,
That kid right there. Was he cool in school?
Oh, he was such a dork. Actually, I was friends. Mike is a couple years younger, I think. I can't remember how. We're at age now, like it doesn't matter. So,
Yeah.
But in school, he was a couple years younger, and his older brother Greg was my age, and so we played football together. From I can't remember if it was middle school or he was from freshman or whatnot, but they were always there, seeing those guys kicking around. Like we're over at Greg's house, and because they've got a really good family,
Right.
so we go over and hang out and whatnot. So that's how I got to know Michael. Then they got into hunting, and I was into hunting. Our school wasn't like a big hunting school, you know what I mean? It was a lot of city kids, and so there was only so many people hunting there, and so like you got to know the kids that did,
Right.
But we are sitting here in the studio with the illustrious philanthropist, guide outfitter extraordinaire, man of many voices, as I'm learning, and none other than Cole the Man Kramer.
That was a really strong introduction. I feel like we've
Do you feel like I oversold it?
I felt like we've misled some.
Yeah. We're going to open up the Pandora box of Cole Kramer. We had a couple questions that we just want to go through with you and get some answers. Okay? So you ready? We're just going to spitball these.
Go ahead.
What is the funniest name you have actually heard used in the real world?
Funniest name?
Funniest name?
Like person's name?
Yeah. Like what? Like a real person that you met. Like what's the funniest name you've ever heard? You can make one.
I would say Harbertson.
Okay.
I was like, I had no clue how to say your last name.
Yep.
Never have until you just like. I always say, that Harbertson guy,
Heverston?
Yeah.
the Mountain Ups guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of them.
Super funny. Easiest way to remember it.
A lot of people laugh about
Son
it.
of Harbert.
Oh,
Harbert's son. Just like the son of John Johnson.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
somehow people throw a V in there. I don't know.
I honestly, I think it's like Annie Thor's daughter, or Sarah Sigmund's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Those are Icelandic names
Yeah.
where that's literally Thor's daughter.
Yep.
I'd like to ask
Sigmund's
you a
daughter.
question. That's really helpful. Is
Harbert's son.
Yes.
Harbert's son.
I
Miserably.
did see a good one last night from my good friend Dustin Rose. Showed me a potential presidential candidacy run, and it was the president and vice president Wiener Holder. And so that I thought was pretty good. Actually, those are real names.
Wow.
So yeah, we're good on that.
I
think that's
worked
probably
with
the
a
best.
gal named Chen Fukmi.
Oh yeah.
Oh, gosh, dude.
All right,
This comes
so-
from Brian, who lived much of his life, not a large part, but in Japan. Yeah.
Anyway,
you would throw that out.
That one's a little awkward.
So next one, what sport would be the funnest to add a mandatory amount of alcohol to?
If I did drink alcohol, it's really not fun to like run around the field like football or baseball or basketball. I would say, golf is pretty important, is from what I've heard, that you have to mandatory. Bowling
You got to add
is
alcohol
very
to that.
important.
Yeah, that's
from what I've heard.
It's a requirement almost.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I would say rugby.
What about bear hunting?
Well, that's serious life stuff. That's not really. I
don't really know that we need to play
I
around
don't-
with alcohol.
I don't really think we need to do that.
Okay.
Actually, that's just me personally.
People-
like with any hunting, anything with firearms, weapons of any sort, 0 amounts of alcohol need to be involved.
I think that's smart
Yeah,
and legal. And
that's just a
and the law.
wisdom drop.
I think that's
there,
the law
okay?
too. Isn't
That's a lot of law things involved. Yeah.
Here's one for you.
Mm-hmm.
If your 5-year-old self suddenly found themselves inhabiting your current body, What would your 5-year-old self do first?
Okay. As a 5-year-old, I loved to use an axe. I was a big time axe and saw person. That was like a wonderful gesture from my father. If I was acting, good, I could use the axe. And so I'd probably have like a lot of monstrous trees cut down because if I was stronger, because, after an hour and a half of being out chopping wood and wouldn't get anywhere. So if I was of this monstrous body that I currently have, then I mean, no doubt it would have been a lot of stuff chopped.
You weigh out that one.
The other one, like realistically though, chopping wood and digging holes.
And digging holes was a big
dug
thing
a
for you.
lot of holes in the backyard. Seriously dug holes. I love digging holes.
We dug a lot of holes in Kodiak.
Searching for something or just the pure fun of digging holes?
One time I dug and I splashed some water in there. Now this was in Kansas, mind you. I was in the backyard. I think I was 6, so sorry.
Making
not 5.
swimming pools.
It's okay, we're close
and
enough.
I poured some water to make the sod a little softer because I was about 3 or 4 feet down, and it like oil. It looked, how like oil, you put a little water in it. It looked like that. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. We hit oil. This is something. And I went and told Dad, like, look at this. Like we could put one of those.
It turns out it was sewage.
Yeah, it could be sewage. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
You hit the sewage line.
It was a sewage line. But regardless, I love digging holes and chopping wood at that age. So if I had my body with that maturity level, it would be
You would dig exponentially more holes.
China.
Cut more things.
Destruction.
Yeah, we
I
would
would
definitely
be
find
destruction.
oil, or we'd hit
Or
we'd
lava.
hit or the
'Cause
core of
the
the earth.
current-
Yeah,
lava.
lava
Because
for
let's
sure.
not
We would hit the Earth's core.
let's not joke ourselves. The current body is pretty much a masterpiece, and the current Gold Kramer body is like a temple.
It is.
That is
It's-
of magnitude.
It's sacred.
I'm really blushing.
yeah.
Well, you are sort of a closet fitness person. I
Let's
think
be honest.
let's bring you out.
Yeah. I mean, I
Into
just
the-
kind of want to open the door right now for you. This is
like,
a safe place. Yeah.
It's
It's
we
like,
don't judge.
I love fitness.
I know he's going to just jump out of the closet and be like,
Well, that is true. For a very long time, I have preached a lot to my hunters that they need to be in better shape because obviously, like I feel for the types of hunts that I do, the mountain hunts, if you do show up in better shape, you are capable to go, harder, longer, whatever, and you recover quicker. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I don't care if you get there super fast. You don't need to run a marathon. You don't need to do that. But the biggest thing is like you don't get hurt and you recover quicker. My fitness approach is just telling people, hey, stay active. You have to use a pack before you come on a hunt and just trying to get them lined out accordingly. I'm not an expert. I figure out their life and what they're doing and try to say, oh, okay, well, add that. Maybe add this. And, okay, don't do that. Put the cheeseburgers down let's try to lose that 30 or 40 pounds. I do feel we are definitely more successful when guys show up in better shape, for our hunts.
Guy doesn't have to be up to the top of the mountain in any record speed.
No.
But he has to wake up day after day and repeat some physical activity.
Correct.
And the worst thing is, and I've been in camp with people that are severely or just not in shape.
Right.
1 or 2 days in the bush like that and they're wrecked.
Right. Well, people can put on a few good days. They can go pretty hard, but after 2 or 3 days, they start wrecking themselves and they really aren't recovering quickly. And I think I mentioned this before, maybe on one of your podcasts out there at camp. I mean, I could suggest them like, hey, Mountain Ups offers a few of these, or any brand, whatever. Take this, this, and this because it will help you recover. Some of them won't do it at all. That's stupid. But when you get in the field and you're sitting there and they're dying, and you could literally take out something, and it could be crack or something, and you're like, it helps me. And they're like, give it to me now. And they'll take whatever it is you've got. But so,
Right.
but no, there are definitely, it is definitely helpful to have. I carry a few of the things in the field, like the recovery drinks at night and whatnot, or some of your Igniter, whatever it is to kind of help, increase just their performance because a guy puts a minimum of $10,000 up to $35,000 of our hunt money into our hunts. It's really, really bad and depressing and very upsetting, frustrating for me to watch a guy quit. It really, really sucks. if you don't, what I've always said is if you don't find misery in your training, then you will find misery on your hunt, like 100%. It's going to happen, and you will be in a world of trouble right there. So you have to be used to it. Obviously, looking at your book here with David Goggins, I mean, it's that guy. He knows it, and
you got to go to war with
right.
yourself every day.
I think something that you bring up, and one thing I just want to dive into is like the Cole Kramer. What kind of workouts do you personally like to do, or what's kind of like your style? They have like, there's a CrossFitter, there's the bodybuilder, there's just a straight endurance guy. Like, where do you find that you like to do your workouts, or how do you like to do your workouts?
Because I hunted with you in Kodiak. We're covering ground. Cole's hiking, and you never get tired. You're going strong. I'm having trouble keeping up. I like to say I have short legs. It could be something else, but you're super fit, way more than people know.
Well,
what do you do in life to stay healthy?
I think for me early on,
it's the pancakes.
It was pancakes and sausage and lots of eggs, bacon too. No, realistically, from an early age, some of us that maybe been athletes in school and used to like workout regiments, whatever, what have you. You would, when I moved to Alaska, I just did a lot of hiking, and I would put weight in my pack. I'd be, going up the mountain, down the mountain fast. We've got Barometer and Kodiak right off the end of the runway there, and I think it's like a 2,600 foot incline there. It's pretty steep. It's just a straight up the mountain hike, and I would hike that for several times before sheep season or whatnot, and I come down it fast and controlled but fast to work on my stabilization muscles for carrying a pack, because it's not just one hunt. Back when I used to do 7 sheep hunts in a row and then come back over to Kodiak and do multiple goat hunts in a row, then go over and do multiple bear hunts and deer hunts, and before you know it, like finishing up the season in December, started in August, finishing in December, not to mention our April, May bear hunts and whatnot. By November, December, you're feeling pretty broken down. And it's an endurance to make it through the whole season, not go 100 miles an hour for one hunt, because you won't last.
Yeah, because I used to, we were talking about backpack food the other day. We were at Mountain Ops, kind of hanging out, testing some stuff. Can I talk about that? So
no,
we're doing this thing, and
not anymore. Nothing stays secret with Gritty.
That's right. And talking to the group about, I need meals and products and nutrition stuff that I use day after day after day after day for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, 2 months at a time. Because I might hunt for 2 or 3 weeks and then come back for a week, hunt for a week, hunt for 2 more weeks. And Casey looked at me and he's like, you realize that's not the norm. Most guys go up for just a 2 or 3 day weekend, go back to work, 2 or 3 days, go back to work, 2 or 3 days, go back to work. It's a totally different ballgame when you're a guide and outfitter, or when you're out there hunting as much as I get to do. You got to have a whole different setup.
Right. You get over 200 some mountain houses a year. You wouldn't think it's that great for the system, and I really hope that I don't come out and say they were cancerous, because I'm screwed. But when you eat a lot of freeze-dried meals, let's just say, because there's a ton of different ones out there now, I don't have an issue with them. But some guys, it tears them up, and it's bad when you come back into town. You try to get back on some other type of diet in between hunts or whatever. It can be a little hard on the whole system, But getting back to, let's just say, current stage of where I'm at, when you asked of what I do, I would say like in my early 30s, things started changing. I'm 35 now. Like, I just started noticing my body just started shutting off certain things that weren't being used, basically. Even though I'm hauling out, starting a hunt, if we're doing a backpack 10-day hunt with all of our food, it's going to be 80 pounds. No doubt about 80 to 90 pounds going into wherever we're going with 10 days of food and camp and everything else. And then when you're coming out, you're going to have meat and hides, and you could have upwards of 150 to pushing 200, depending on what we are doing and how capable my client is. Because if my client can't help me, or if it can only haul like 5 pounds of meat, that means I have to take it out. And I do not like 2 loads. I don't do 2 loads. It's really a dumb approach. You really need to listen to your body. You can get hurt, but as long as when I put it on and I start walking, I'm gauging it. Does this feel good? Does this feel not good? And then I can go from there. But if it gets up, push up 200 pounds, then you probably better take a couple loads, and obviously there's a lot of people that can only do about 80 pounds. So you better just do 80 pounds. Don't be stupid. Yeah. We're used to it. You can haul a bunch of weight. I know you can handle it, but there's plenty of guys that hit the weights a lot and they're massive, and you get them out there and it's amazing. I could have 50 pounds on my back and they've got 40 pounds in their back and they are dying. They're not used to the whole endurance of just continuing. So getting to where I am now in terms of working out, you asked what I do. I had a friend who's a CrossFit instructor there in Kodiak, Jason Bunch, great guy, retired rescue swimmer. I kind of looked at doing that a couple years back and went in there, and it was kind of like, if you're not going to drink the Kool-Aid, well, you don't need to be here kind of thing. Well, then telling him about it later on, he goes, well, why don't you come into the CrossFit gym, because I was actually preparing to go to Nepal with Ben O'Brien. Mm-hmm. And, here it is, January, February, and it is really snowy, really cold, nasty out, icy. The mountains were iced over in Kodiak, and I was going up hiking, and I was worried, like, man, I'm just going to get hurt, wearing my crampons, or someone to stick a crampon on my leg, back of my leg or something.
So you're trying to get fit.
And I'm trying to get
outside.
Fit. Yes, outside, do my normal hiking thing. And that's when my buddy Jason's like, well, why don't you come to the gym and I'll help you get in shape. I'm like, I don't want to do it. And he's like, come on, I'll talk to him. We'll get something figured out for you. And he did. And they ended up, the owners were great people. They let me come in and kind of, get prepared for this deal. And Jason really did a great job of helping me get prepared. And I personally really like the whole approach. I have to have a shock to my system, because otherwise I'm just used to doing certain things out there in the woods and carrying stuff around and this and that and the other. But I feel I don't want to be in there for multiple hours. If I went to the gym by myself, then I would be in there for like 2 hours and I still wouldn't get that great of a workout because maybe I wasn't pushing myself in the correct way. Well, then, in this 1 hour, it was maximizing that and beating the snot out of me. It was really very humbling, and the coaches were really good. It made it very clear to them I cannot get hurt, because that was something that I felt like, that's the rumor. Oh, all these CrossFitters get hurt because they're always pushing it too hard. And, these coaches that are just pushing you to do too much weight. Yep. Or they don't care about your form. Just what did you get today? How many reps? What's your max? Well, these guys are really good with me about, they'd be like, stop, take the weight off. Focus. Okay, you're not doing this today. You're strictly working on your form.
Yep.
You need to work on mobility. Go over there and work that against the wall. And it's like, I get, oh, geez, fine. But they were like, you helped me today after a workout. That's something that you have to keep in mind. Otherwise, you're going to get hurt. And I cannot get hurt for my guiding season. But this was the healthiest at 35. This was the healthiest season I've had to date. No doubt about it. At the end of the season, I felt great. And typically I'm feeling pretty broken down. And like the last few deer that I'm packing out, I'm really feeling it. That like, okay, I got to be careful, because it's when you're, bending over, pulling up your pack, spinning your back. 3 years ago I did that. I was trying to just stretch when I went down to pick up the pack, and I threw it on, and twisted and felt it pop. And I mean, here I am out in the middle of nowhere, and my back is all screwed up now. And so that's happened multiple times. Or that was the only time actually in the field that happened. What typically happens is I will be back in town. The first time it happened, I sneezed in church, and it went out when I was sitting there in the pew, and I was like, oh, what was that? And I went to stand up. I was like, oh, my. But I've been hauling bear hides around in the springtime, and I have an expediting company, and I'm fleshing hides and salting hides and hanging them and moving them and doing a lot of overhead activity, right, like pulling these hides around. And I was just maxed, and there I did one little movement, and it popped it. And so that's what typically happens to me. It went out again sitting in some meetings up in Alaska, at our Alaska Professional Hunters meetings at the end of the year in December, sitting in a chair, and all of a sudden I felt it just pop. That's the way it typically happens with me. This year, spending more time, there's some people that shut it off during the season and they don't do anything. Well, if I have a few days, I will go in and at least get 1 day in. Or I'll go in I'll try to go in, a few times, but I'll just say, hey, I'm just going really light today, getting the movements in and not worrying about being the biggest, baddest guy in the class. There's no reason to. Most of the women in the class that I would go to, when I first started, I would go to the 9 a.m. class, and it was a lot of moms, there in Kodiak, and most of them were older by about 10 or 15 years, maybe more than me. And those women that were like 15, 20 years older than me were like way tougher. I mean, they're like around me, like, good job, Coke. You can keep doing it. And they're done. They're already way done.
Wind.
Oh, yeah, I am dying. And so I dropped the humility thing, or have humility and just no ego there.
Drop the ego.
Yep, drop the ego. Just go about your business, and that it's nice. That's what I enjoy, for me personally.
So some people don't realize, I think, they think, well, hunting every day, hiking, going for deer, bear, whatnot, glassing, that's moving your body, doing work, setting up tents, crossing rivers, like all this stuff's like holistic. But on Kodiak, you could spend days and days, and often doing nothing in a tent.
Right.
And I think as the season progresses, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like your body could break down, get weaker and weaker and weaker as the season progresses, because you're under lockdown a lot more as the weather gets more and more dark.
Well, bear hunts are the worst. I mean, we get in shape to go on a bear hunt, and then that's when you get out of shape. Is because you're sitting around. We just sit on the tundra. We don't sit in chairs or anything, and you're sitting on the tundra glassing all day long. And I try to get up and stretch or do something throughout the whole day. But it is so bad 'cause you're sitting there for so long, and you're just, I zone out and just think about things. My brain can just completely mentally go into a different world and don't even pay attention to time or anything or how cold it is or whatever. But you're sitting there and you just feel like crap, but you have to be able to turn it on and go when it's time to go. Doing stuff in between hunts. It's one thing if I got in from a goat hunt and felt like horribly taxed, and I'm like, oh man, I need to get some rest and just really go and maybe just focus on stretching. Maybe don't go to the gym or whatever. But between my bear hunts, I'm ready to get back in there because it sitting around and for days and days and days in glass because the goal is bear hunting is not to spread scent throughout the valley. So you're not hiking a lot. We'll hike to some different spotting knobs, and you're really not going all over the place. I have a hunt, this very first hunt of the spring, actually. I've got a guy, Alan Bolin from this part of the country. Bolin Lewis. Yep. Alan and Spike are coming on a bear hunt, and Alan's after a really big bear, and he really wants to go do a little more backpacking and also, being up on the ridge lines and doing more spiking out. And it's a great hunt to do that on. Yeah. And so we will be more focused on, hiking more, carrying a camp on our back, multiple days of food. But once we reach a high point up on a ridgeline, we'll sit there all day. We may put on a full day of hiking to gain, 2,000 feet or whatever it is, and then another mile or two. But once I reach my points, and that's, we're like conjunctions of other valleys, then we're going to stay put for a day or two, overlook the land, survey the land.
So back to the part about your back, going out and causing you some problems. What do you think, looking back, that this season was a lot better, that your back did better? What
would you contribute that to?
I think that just the whole, that's where you probably understand more of it than I do, right? I like the full gamut of, I'm not just an arm guy. I'm not just a leg guy. You got to do the whole thing. You got to work on your core, obviously. And I think working on the core was probably a huge thing. Just all those mixtures of movements was a huge help. I personally think.
That is honestly one of the things that I've also come to love too, right? So when I started getting familiarized with the gym and trying to, understand it better and what do I want to do? What am I trying to build? What's my overall goal?
Right.
Brian kind of introduced me to the CrossFit thing. And all of a sudden I just became in love with it because I'm a very active person already. Right. I enjoy movements. I enjoy running.
You're like a rabbit.
I'm like a rabbit. Yeah, I just run everywhere. I pretty much just dance. Like we experienced today.
You have a lot of dancing.
But that was for me one of the things that I found that have changed my season last year too was
Mhm.
I'm not as knowledgeable as Brian is when it comes to CrossFit. He's taught me a lot.
Right.
It sounds like you're learning a lot from your gym and from the guys that are kind of stewards over you as far as teaching movements and stuff
Right.
like that. But I love all of that mixed together. I love movement. I love lifting weights. I love doing like kind of like a HIIT workout, like what we did today.
Right. And it's like, make no mistake here. There's tons of people that just, oh, I hate CrossFit or this and that and the other. And then they go to a gym and they're like, okay, here we have these movements. And you look at it, you're like, well, this is a CrossFit workout.
Yeah.
And so people like to hide it, what they're doing, but basically they don't call it a CrossFit gym.
And I don't care
it's
what
some other. I don't care what.
I don't
it's
care what you
called.
call it. It's
Yeah, this I just have like Kodiak. We have a weight gym,
Mhm.
and then we have a CrossFit gym.
Mhm.
You know, and it just so happens that like I would personally rather go and work out with these people, and it is a nice community, and it helps me better. You know, that's just me. They can get the people have a choice to go do stuff. If I was in Salt Lake, I imagine there's 15, 20, 30 different types of gyms here, but there's probably 10 of them that probably have the same type of movements. They just don't call it that.
Yeah,
Who
and
cares what it's called?
Exactly. I think what makes a difference is functional movement.
Yep.
Right.
So you're not doing some banded machine or cable machine.
It's
Right.
like when
Which-
we were at Sheep Show this last week, and me and Brian walked into the Atlantis Casino and Resort gym
Yeah.
because we wanted to stay on routine. Us not having had gone to any shows yet, but we wanted to go to one this week.
Right.
And I remember walking in the gym because you've experienced the Mountain Ops gym, which is what? Barbells, some racks, some weights,
Sure.
just an
CrossFit
open floor. It's
style.
CrossFit
the most
style.
amazing gym ever.
In the world, right? And we literally walk into the gym, and it's all of what he's describing, which is the traditional cables
cables.
and
Sure,
all that
sure.
stuff. And me and him look at each other and go, we can't use any of this.
Right.
Well, we
Well,
can.
So we can, but we created our
that's
own
right.
movement workout,
Correct.
which was, and we did it for 15 minutes,
It's,
and it was great.
A lot of times, it's not a functional, like squatting is a functional movement.
Mhm.
Putting something overhead is a functional movement. Getting something off the ground, the overhead is just a functional movement.
Right.
So learning how to move well under load in a controlled situation has tons of benefit. And that's just really all CrossFit is, if you're doing it right, is, okay, let's use full range of motion. Let's get mobility and back
Mhm.
and strength through that full range of motion.
Sure.
Let's
Right.
be healthy. I think under load in a controlled situation is the critical part, because under load, like a 150-pound backpack coming off the mountain isn't really a controlled situation.
Right.
You
Well,
could
and that's where your stabilizing muscles come big time into play.
Right.
You know?
And that's where, when you're doing cables, or let's say you're doing like some kind of press in a machine, some guy will say, yeah, I can leg press, 500 pounds. Well, there's no stabilization muscles involved in that.
Mhm.
Put 500 pounds on your shoulders, and you can't squat it,
Sure.
And that's where functional movement with the free weight really helps you learn helps you develop that core strength, that stabilization strength, so that when
Sure.
you are on the mountain and you're coming down with a 150-pound pack and things are wobbling all over the place and the pack load is on your
Sure.
back, because you've done it in the controlled situation, you're now doing it safely in the environment, especially if you're squatting twice what you're carrying on your back,
Sure.
then you're pretty safe, because you've done way heavier,
Right.
Well,
And people just have to know, quit looking over at the guy next to you or the girl next to you and trying to compare yourself to this person. Just, it's your life. Focus on what you can do. Ask your coach or your friend or whoever may know, dive in and get some knowledge on what you should be doing, because not everyone needs to be doing Olympic lifting. We used to do it, in high school. Our weight coaches for football were all about it. And so I kind of missed some of those explosive type of workouts and whatnot. And so for me, it was good, but it's not for everyone though.
and you've got some shoulder issues. I saw
Yeah,
the
I've had
old
3 shoulder
scar
surgeries.
there.
Yeah.
And
I've had 2 on my left, 1 on my right.
everybody comes with a different set of issues, a different journey that they've
Sure.
had. So you've got to work around that.
Mhm.
And if you allow your ego to come in any gym setting, you can get yourself hurt.
I was just going to say, you
But-
can really get yourself hurt.
What I want to ask you, because I ran into the guys from your gym on the plane
Yeah.
as I was flying out of town, and you had mentioned the community there. You were really starting to go at an earlier time to the gym
Mhm.
because there's a lot of fire breathers and tough guys that show up during that time. And you got a community,
Mhm.
right? A group that supports
Yep.
each other. Tell me about that.
Well, like for me, I used to go like say the 9 a.m. because I felt like, okay, there's no one here that like, it was all ladies that were way tougher than me and a few guys and whatever. But then I wasn't getting enough done in the day.
Yeah.
It's at 9 a.m.
Right.
And then, I'd come home before I would actually get to work and do stuff. It's not like I have a job, but like, outfitter things.
Yeah.
Paperwork and driving around drinking coffee and cookies and stuff. That's serious stuff. But no, once I started, I thought, oh, Jason, my buddy, was one of the instructors at 5 a.m. He said, oh, you start coming at 5 a.m. And I was like, man, that's early. That's ridiculous. Because I have to wake up at 4. Because I can't just
Right.
wake up at 4:45, roll out of bed, and
Just
roll off
rock.
to the gym. No.
Yeah.
I got to wake up at like 4, 4:15,
Get the
have a
juices
cup
flowing.
of coffee, then I can go and just wake myself up.
Yeah.
I'm not a morning person, realistically. But the guys that I work out with, these are all guys that realistically, and this is where, you hear it all the time, like David Goggins and these other guys, everyone has an excuse. But all these guys that are there, we've got state troopers, policemen, construction workers, other ladies that are there, Coast Guard, military, these are people though that have a life, family, and there's no other time. Like if they're going to get a workout in, they're going at 5 a.m. and they got to hustle back after that because they got to get kids ready and other people ready for, their day, and they got to get off to work. Those are the kind of people I really enjoy being around because they're not making excuses. They're there,
Yeah.
Whereas, there are other types of people that are there strictly for, what they look like, and they're ripping their shirts off during the workout and got to, and
Like
it's
Jordan.
yes, very much like Jordan. But
Don't
just
tell me
kidding.
you didn't head turn when I took my shirt off.
Okay,
Twice.
moving on. Well, it was like a third nipple. That's what I was looking at, or something.
There was something there that was not normal.
Yeah.
That's not supposed
I'm
to
like,
be
I really
there.
thought you'd be bigger.
Yeah.
But no, it's just one of those things where we've all got excuses in life, but
Yeah.
that's why I enjoy, I think, getting up and you feel good about yourself.
How important has that community been in helping you get
Stay
fit and
motivated.
fit?
Oh, no, it's good because those guys, I'm the worst in the class. No doubt about it. I am the worst, but they're all super helpful. They're way stronger than me, and these are like normal dudes that have real jobs, and I'm the one who's supposed to be like tough because I've got a backpack on, hauling around stuff. I'm carrying out bear hides and stuff. That sounds really tough, but realistically, I'm not that tough. And so I'm more mentally tough than anything.
Yeah.
Like I won't quit. And, I like to finish my workouts, even if it's like over. It's like, I need to finish this, even though I've gone 20 minutes past what everyone else did. I remember the last like Murph workout we did,
Yeah.
on 4th of or Memorial Day, right? I think it's Memorial Day. I remember the last time I strolled in from bear season, and I'm like, I got to do this. I hadn't been to the gym in a long time because it's bear season,
Right.
and I didn't have any time in between. My hunts ran long, and I just ran in there, put the 20-pound vest on, and off I went. And I mean, it was pathetic to watch me. It was bad. People were like sitting there like, we'll stay and clap him on. And then they're like, it's really
gotta
long.
go
And
we
these are all-
actually really
And
have
these are
to
all
go.
moms that are 20 years older than him.
Yes. Yep. And they've done it. And so, but my point is I don't care about, I appreciate the support. I have to finish. It's like a hunt. That is the great thing about our hunting. Like you can't give up. Like I have to get the bear hide back to camp. There is no like easy button. There's no like, shortcut. Oh, woe me. It's no. Yeah. I went a very long time before I would ever let someone pack a bear hide. Like my assistant guides or packers, I didn't like doing that because it was like, I felt like that was what I needed to do. Then later on, I felt like, okay, well, I probably am taking this situation away from them, which they should be learning more about and finding their own inner strength to do that and get stronger mentally, physically, whatever. That's my only saving grace in on hunts is like having the mental capacity to really
So you
push
stick it
through.
out
You-
till it's done.
Yep. You said something that kind of struck me too, which is just your mindset, the mentality that you have where you're like, I'm not going to do 2 pack outs. We're going to get this done in 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the exact same mindset that I have. And it's something that I've been with hunters or hunting partners, and it's been tough because they're like, we'll just come back and get more.
Yeah.
You know, we can just do multiple trips. And I'm like, no, we're packing this out like 3 miles. Like, we're going to figure out how to get this now. And like, if I, like last season, I had to do, there was 2 trips, 2 elk hunts where I'd put 2 of hindquarters double down, and I didn't even debone them. They were just all one leg,
Right.
even had the hoof on it.
You're so strong.
Yep. Just, you talked about how some of the most physically looking tough people that you've been afield with were some of not the toughest people.
Right.
Right. And Brian and I talk about this a lot, which is fitness is how you feel.
Mhm.
Fitness is how capable you are
Perform.
and you perform. And then obviously a person and how they look, people can define just by their eyes how they think that person is.
Right.
But there's obviously a lot of people that all 3 of us know that maybe don't look the most fit, but could
Right.
probably outlift us any day of the week.
Right.
And so I think it really comes down to what you described, which is just movement. It's endurance. It's that mental fortitude to say, I'm not going to quit and we're going to get this done.
Right.
And I love hunting with people like that.
Right. And
because-
truth be told, like when I say 1 load, it's the type of animals that I am dealing with. Doll
Right.
sheep,
Doll
a
sheep.
mountain goat,
Yep.
You're not hauling a
Sitka
moose
black-tailed
out in
deer,
one
a bear hide. You know,
Yeah.
Yep.
I can haul those out in 1 load. It's the elk, the moose. Yeah, I mean you've got
little
to do.
different.
You know, even a caribou is that's a lot of meat. Yeah, those things multiple load. You hope you have another person with you.
Yeah, as
You know
long
what
as
I
you
mean?
got
You
another
got another
person.
person with you. That's a different deal.
Before we move on, let's say a guy wants to come on a mountain goat hunt with you on Kodiak, or he's going to go up there and bear hunt. What would you like to see that person do to get in shape?
You know, I would say
Ideally.
the biggest thing is just getting to know your pack. So whatever pack you're going to bring, whatever brand you have. Sure, I've got some brands that I say, okay, you need to, like I have to direct them, but if it's of one of these 4 packs or whatever, then okay, fine. I'm not going to tell you have to go out and buy a whole new pack. But now the point is get to know your pack. Put weight in it. Start working up loads and hiking with it. Even if it's just flat ground, I don't care. Your body has to know what it feels like after a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, 5 miles. You know, they're closer to your hunt. You're doing a little more weight, a little more distance. You know, a hunter needs to be able to, if he's coming on a mountain goat hunt with me and it's just him and me, let's just say, he needs to be able to haul 50 pounds out minimum. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
I can haul a lot, but I'm trying to be a little bit smarter now because I used to haul out a mountain goat by myself all the time, and I've done a ton of them. But, you know, you throw a couple of bad falls in there, about break your leg a few times, stuff like that. You hit your head. You start trying to be a little smarter about hauling out loads because you slip, one bad move, you're done. So now I will typically try to bring someone along because that's just, once again, it's just being smarter and longevity. You know, hauling the pack around is great because I've had guys that say, no, don't worry, I go to the gym all the time. Well, I remember having a guy, great guy, and it's funny because back in the day, he'd just go to the gym, him and his wife. Now his wife actually owns a gym. They live down in Texas. So now he's like really fit. But before, he would just go to the gym and he was like, no, don't worry. And we were hiking, and he looks pretty good, more bulky upper body. And we're hiking along for deer. We haven't killed anything yet. You know, we don't have we're just hauling day stuff. And we're going over like the tundra hummocks of what we experience down there. And he's like, Cole, and he goes, Cole, hey, god dang, the tundra hummocks are rough. He goes, my god dang 400-pound bench press ain't doing out here. And I was like, I'm like, I can probably do like 175 pounds right now. And I mean, the point is, it doesn't help you. You can't, you have to understand, and even doing a 500-pound squat is not going to help you out there. I mean, is it good that you can like stand up with a pack? Yeah, I guess so. That's pretty good. But in terms of like working on those, like the mobility, and obviously to have the leg strength is important.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. But we all know guys that could realistically maybe squat 200 pounds. And in the squat world, that really isn't a lot, right?
Right.
Or 150 pounds, but they could out hike you like no other.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that's one thing about Kodiak that I learned was the tundra hummocks. they're a different animal. So a guy might be really good at going straight up vertical climbs or hunting up here on the Wasatch, chasing some elk, but those hummocks, they suck your legs in like knee deep, crotch deep.
Yeah. And they can hurt you.
And they're spongy and soft, so you sink with each step. That means to take your next step, you have to raise your foot like super high.
Yeah.
It's like these leg raises with every step. You can't it's not just walking or climbing. It's
a lot
hurdling.
of balance there too.
Yeah, and you're on one leg a lot, like getting the next hummock, and you're just sinking in this spongy stuff.
Sure.
I found myself getting winded and being tired from, having to
and
lift
honestly,
my
that
legs
is
like
so
that.
hard to prepare for. Like guys, like, well, what can you do to prepare for that? Oh boy, I mean,
I think weighted lunges.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sure.
Single leg.
Right. And that's what I mean. But in terms of like real life, getting used to something. I mean, where else? They're not just strung out in the States.
The only thing I felt similar to that is when I've hunted where there's tons and tons of blowdowns, and there's just fall.
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, I'd much rather deal with. I would much rather deal with tundra than all that blowdown nonsense that you guys deal with in elk. I mean, that's some nasty stuff, But one of the biggest gripes that my hunters give me is like, do we really have to pack up camp and carry camp again? Like, why can't we just leave it here? We'll just come back. It's like, well, the ram is over there. Well, yeah, okay, what if we don't get him? Like, okay, what if the ram goes up and over that mountain? And so then we go up there. Well, actually, what I'm going to be doing is thinking in my brain, we're getting pretty far from camp. Yeah. And I know this guy probably can't handle going up and over, and then kind of have to hike back up. Like, it's going to be a mental screw for this guy going that far when I say, okay, he's went up and over to the side. Now he dropped down the bottom. Now we got camp way back there. And I have to be responsible as a guide. And carrying camp, we move slower, And one of the other big gripes is like, are we really going to haul that water? It's like, well, dude, I have a camp with me. We may stop on the top of that ridgeline. And if there's a little spot there, I mean, I remember there's like this super steep spot last year. We were hunting for sheep, but in this pass, we had all this snow. And the snow was a fairly level place, and we kicked out some spots. And obviously, snow, you can melt the snow. Yeah. But so you have water there, right? That's not that big a deal. And actually going up there, I knew I was going to use the snow for the water. But there's other places where that could just be a little spot where it's just a little dirt patch or something that we use our ice axes and pick out into like a little bed for our tents. Well, now I've got water. I don't have to worry about dropping down 1,000 feet or have to expose myself to the rams or the goats or the deer or the elk while I'm going down to the bottom to get water. Right. That is another mind screw because you're like, we don't have water. I only have so much water right now, and I can't drink as much water as I want to. I'm about being comfortable on my hunts.
So what you're saying, though, is that being fit impacts the hunt.
I think you're onto something.
That was one of the questions we were going to ask, but I feel like you've done a very good job at answering it in your Cole Kramer way, which was, does
Rat
fitness
trail stories?
Yeah, does fitness have a place in hunting? And
it's kind of a dumb question.
It's kind of a dumb question, but the reason why I ask it is I would tell you, as a brand, as a company, and as an ideology that we have here, we get attacked all the time for that.
Sure. And obviously, I think my best answer for it is it's a piece of the puzzle. It's not the whole puzzle.
Yep.
Okay, because if Cam Haines was just a workout guy and just ran out there after and he wasn't a good hunter, he'd never kill anything. Right. Or there's plenty of guys that we know that are in an amazing physical condition and they just run themselves around looking for stuff, spooking stuff off. Yep. It has nothing to do with it. I mean, they have to know how to hunt. It just will help. With me, I know it's going to help me in the long run. Yeah. Okay, as long as I'm smart about it. And that's fine. Like, you don't have to go run it. It just matters of what's your goals? How long are you going to be in this game? What are your excuses? Like me, okay, sounds like I'm like pumping myself here, but I'm kind of an athlete in terms of like my season is this long.
Right.
Like a football player just can't stroll up in with his God-given talent and just expect to go against the Patriots or whoever it is and
Or
thinking
a
he's going to
full
win.
season of
right,
games.
a full season of this. No, you have to continue on throughout the whole season. And so if you're just going to go hit 100 or 2 a year, that's fine. To me, I just feel better in life.
That's what I was going to say. What about just life in general?
That's
Right.
not
'Cause,
outside of the hunt.
do you want to be able to drop your clothes and like your girlfriend or wife be like, holy crap? These
I think that's a
and
quality
Cole,
life.
it's
decision.
quality of life.
That actually happened. That actually
With who?
happened with me. I put on I hit 215. Ding! Like it was like I was using clothes.
And
like
she turned
baggy
away.
Clothes. No,
Right.
your wife loves you, right? She's like, I love you just the
They're
way
not as,
you are.
They're not as shallow as
Yeah.
us.
Right.
No. We're shallow, but she's just it was so funny. So last year, 215 Cole, and I was like, all right, I got to change some things.
Yeah.
Here I am. I'm an owner of a company that believes in health and wellness, but
Right.
I fell off the
Like I
fell-
didn't even, yeah, right. You're right. And I'm glad I saw you there because I didn't think you even worked out ever. So
no,
that was really
no.
good.
And then, so I dropped from 215 down to 177.
Wow.
Right?
That's a big,
Yep.
yeah.
Big
Good for you.
stretch, but then came back up to 185 and added the muscles and everything. So
Oh, I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
so
He
the,
is
the
jacked.
chest and
Yeah.
the muscles.
Whoa.
So I take my shirt off, and my wife goes, "Oh wow, I like that." And I'm like, "Oh, are you telling me you didn't like it before?" Well, she's like, "Well, no. I mean, I loved you. You cute and soft around the
loved you
edges.
for your
I just
humor."
really like you now." And I'm like, "You liar." There's no doubt when you are fit, you feel good, you do good. But
Yeah, 'cause
I
I
like
would-
the way you put it. Let me say this real quick.
Yeah.
I like the way you put it. It's a piece of the puzzle. I
Right.
equate it to the
Right.
spokes on a wheel. There's this hub. If we're going to say this is hunting, there's so many pieces that or parts of it that support it. That there's no one thing that's going to make it better. It's all
Right.
of those things that help it to go along.
So what I can say is personally, yes, I was already like mentally strong without the workout stuff. Okay, let's just say that.
Yep.
And I knew I could go over the ridge and go all the way down and back up. I knew I could do that, but I know it would hurt. Okay. But then also, what also helped me is like in some of these workouts, some of these CrossFit workouts that we've done, there are some ridiculous ones that you're looking at and you're like, am I going to be able to finish that? And I'm just like scratching like, wow, that's a long one. That is a tough one. Holy crap. But then at the end, you finish it, you do it, and it's like, whoa, I can't believe like I did it. I did it. And it's kind of, that's the thing I like about some of those is it's like, wow, this was really long. This was really tough, kind of like some of our hunts. But it also, that right there, I've also been on the mountain a few times and been like, I can do this. That's not a problem. I know that I can do this. No problem.
I've suffered worse.
And even though that was only like an hour workout or whatever it is, it still goes into playing. And truth be told, like I start to feel mushy. Like I have some spine issues or neck issues and whatever. And I know when I haven't been in the gym in a while, like my neck will start, the way I'm sleeping on it, it starts feeling really soft. Same thing with my back. I start just slouching more. As soon as I get back in the gym, I have fixed so many of my issues with my neck, with my back. Everything just straightens back up again without having to go to chiropractors and all these people and all this stuff. But regardless, it's been a help for me personally.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, the truth is, as you described that, muscle, your bones they don't actually hold you in place. Your muscles do.
Mm-hmm.
Your bones are just the scaffolding that the muscle attaches to. So people will go to a chiropractor, but if they don't have the rigid muscle in all the right places, doing the right things, then all the bones squish out of place and you're weak and you get hurt. That muscular skeletal system has to be rigid. And you only get that by doing functional movements and by exercising.
Sure.
Whether it's body weight or above body weight or mixing both, which I think is ideal. When you do that, muscles are where they're supposed to be. Therefore, your bones are where they're supposed to be. And life is good.
Mm-hmm.
And libido is better. So
yes, it is.
So we're gonna wrap up, but before we let you go, Cole, what are your favorite Mountain Ops products that you use?
I actually have never used any. No, I'm just kidding.
Like he said earlier, he says, when I like to awaken myself and I like to get woke,
Yeah.
just a hot cup of coffee.
No,
All the
I would
coffee,
say-
all the Mountain Ops coffee in the world.
Right. Yes. No, I would say that, I've used the Ignite, the Yeti, like for a pre-workout or whatnot. Then I'll I don't really know how they all work. I just take them all at the same time, But no,
Yeah, we were talking to you about that earlier.
Yeah. I was like,
How about a scoop of this?
Oh, right. No,
That's neat.
I would say I'm an amateur when it comes to this, right?
Yeah.
And the Yeti has been good, or the Ignite, whichever one. In the field, I would just take some of the Ignite. Then afterwards,
The Magnum protein for
Magnum
your
protein.
post-workout?
Yeah.
Sure.
I always get Magnum and Ammo mixed up.
Yeah.
But yeah, Magnum protein.
Sure. Yeah, you guys offer a lot of product, and so it is good to, I would imagine, call these nice ladies at the desk here and figure out everything and know what you need to do. But the things that I like, especially like when I'm out on a hunt, is like your hot Ignite. I like the apple cider. It's really good, or the cocoa, because for me, like midway through we're on our spring bear hunts especially. We start off at waking up at 6 in the morning, and we're hunting until 11 to 11:30 at night is when we get back to camp. Then I'm making a dinner, and then we go straight to bed. So realistically, there's nights where I'm not to bed till 1 in the morning. Then I'm back up again at 6 a.m., and it just keep going for a month and a half. It's a long season, just sitting there glassing and glassing and glassing. And you'd be surprised how tired you get just sitting there glassing, because you're taxing your eyeballs and your brain and whatever by trying to do that. And yeah, we're hiking around a little bit, but midway through the day, especially 2 or 3 in the afternoon, some of like the hot Ignite that I really, it's pretty good.
What do you think of the
Because I get coffeeed out. I love coffee, but I get coffeed out, so I like having a little bit of change.
I think it's great. I say this all the time. It's great to switch around your stimulants, cycle, because I'll do Blaze and Blaze pills or Blaze shots, and then I'll do Ignite, and I'll go on a Yeti kick for a while when I'm hitting CrossFit workouts or doing stuff down in the gym. And I never kind of want to be on any one of them all the time every day.
Right.
I like to do one for a week, another one for a week, back to this one for a week, or even take a couple weeks off where I have zero at all.
Right. Yeah, and I'm like, when I'm in the field, it's mainly coffee and water, and that's it. We make, because like I say, it's nice having something hot in the afternoon because it's pretty cold out there typically. Mm-hmm. You're just sitting there, and the wind is like chilling you to the bone. I mean, I've got all the Sitka gear on in the world, and it doesn't matter really what you have on, because it all is just layers, and you're still going to get pretty chilly if you have to sit in the wind glassing, but you were going to ask about the slumber. It's interesting on some of my hunts, like, yeah, I'm really tired, but if I can't shut my mind off, then you're just sitting there even though you're exhausted and you can't shut it off. So that's helpful. The slumber helped me initially get to sleep, kind of calming me down. And that was a pretty big hit last year. Most of my camps I'd offer it to guys if they wanted it, and that was a pretty big hit. A lot of guys really like that. Yeah,
especially if you're in an uncomfortable bed, in a semi-unnerving situation, like you've got an electric fence around your tent, or you don't. Like me.
You didn't have one?
Yeah, Cole
I knew you were
did,
tough.
but
that's because he packed his in.
Right. He didn't need one.
Yeah.
And
he's gritty.
But and then there's
I go toe to toe with any grizzly on this
You're on
mountain.
a cot, you're in a pad. It's like all these things change, and some guys have a real hard time sleeping.
Right. Well, then there's also the other side of it. If you are backpacking around and you are getting really sore, it is a really nice recovery, obviously.
Yeah.
So that is nice. But the other thing is, though, what I found is in town, that's where it really more so benefited.
Oh, really?
The slumber. Yeah, just because in town, when I get back in, I'm so overloaded with emails and calls that I have to get back to people on, and things of that nature. And then if I am going to the gym, and being sore from some of those workouts because you haven't done those movements in a long time, it is definitely nice to recover with. But
different.
Yeah. No,
I took some last night. I haven't had it in probably a week or two. But for some reason, the night before and the night before that, I just didn't sleep deep. And I just had a couple of crummy nights sleep. So I just took it last night and just slept like a rock.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, I remember, when this first came out, Jordan, I think it was last year, you mentioned, it would be great on the hunts. And I said, yeah, but I don't typically have issues on the hunt. It's when I'm in town, not being able to shut my brain off at night. And then how many people are on all of these types of pills and whatever it is, and
stimulants.
Guys are, drinking and stuff before night to go to sleep, and it's just, I think it's a much healthier approach to going about it, rather than trying all these other things to get you to go to sleep, you know. So That's where I think people need to look at it for that,
it's
too.
got ZMA and collagen and other things in
Magnesium,
there.
melatonin.
That really zinc that just kind of helps you relax.
Yep.
It's actually, like you said, Cole, it's a true recovery type of product. When you're asleep, your brain is still doing all that recovery stuff, or Ambien and things like that, just kind of knock you out.
Yeah, and it doesn't put me to sleep the whole night. I think it just helps me get, the initial sleep. I'll wake up throughout the night occasionally. Yeah. But it more so helps me that first few hours of rest and gets you in that nice deep sleep. You know?
Yeah, because that's what's interesting about the sleep cycle is, as I've learned more about it, is that we kind of have those ebbs and flows where we go in and out. Being able to get the deepest amount of sleep for the longest amount of possible is awesome. You talked about on your hunt, you guys are hunting from 6 to 11, and you're bed by 1, and you're up in 5 hours, and you're at it again. Right. So you're not getting a full hours of sleep. So obviously anything it can do to help you recover as much in those hours is awesome. So that's cool.
Do you use any of those Mountain Ops straight to mouth products?
Oh, you mean the biotics?
Yeah. Like the STMs.
Yeah. Yeah, the straight to mouth. Really glad we called it that.
I never noticed that.
That was not mine and Casey's doing. We were on a hunt. We came back to the office, and they had sent the packaging off, and I was like, so what are we doing with this? And they're like, well, we're calling it the STM because it's kind of military. It sounds cool. The Mountain Ops STM. I'm like, sounds cool. What does it stand for? Straight to mouth. And I was like, could have just said a pixie stick,
Yeah. Well, no. I think for me, the biotics are pretty nice. And there's multivitamins as well, right? Right. But the biotics, I think, especially for someone, the probiotics for, if you're doing a lot of the Mountain House stuff, or freeze-dried meals.
Totally. Anything that's...
any of those, people typically have more of an issue with those. And I've seen guys, especially, and I don't know all the details of this stuff, but I believe, isn't it supposed to help your digestive tract, right, with your meals, your stomach,
just
everything.
Bacteria,
stomach, and people get pretty out of whack out there. What it is also is they're so excited. Yeah. They get somewhere different. I've seen guys and gals get very backed up, let's just say. And I mean for 3 to 5 days. And that is not good. It's not good at all. I personally think, it's nice to, town out there, whatever. I know it's just better to take those. It seems like it helps me, and I'm assuming maybe it would help others. I don't know.
Mountain House for a weekend is one thing. Mountain House for 3 straight months,
that's tough.
It's a whole nother animal.
It's a whole nother animal. So Cole, where can people find you? I mean, what's your house address? What's
so P.O. Box.
I was going to say you were going to be on the Alaska's Bachelor, but not anymore because you're taken. So if any of the ladies that are listening, I'm sorry. Now,
sorry, stay away.
Not available.
Thank you. My email is cole@adventuremountainhunts.com. I do have one of those Instagram things.
Yeah, you're
Cole
_AK _Kramer.
I think that's it. I think that's it. I probably have Facebook. I don't ever really get on there too often. But, I don't really do a lot of advertising.
No, you don't.
I don't at all. No. And I prefer just to occasionally meet hunters, not all the time. And to pick and choose, because you don't want too many of them calling you. They need to be really busy.
Yes.
Yeah. And I need time.
Yeah. And you don't need the business. You're fine. You're booked out till what, 2024 or something?
No, I really need a lot of business.
Okay, so guys, if you go to www.what?
AdventureMountainHunts.com, which is a single one-page website. Nice. Very, very good.
Very simple.
Very explanatory of really not a whole lot. So,
which is basically just
from there.
Hopefully, you can just call Cole.
Yes,
and he'll give you pages of information.
Correct. Yeah. No, I do. I'm a one-man show on my guide operation, which I have 2 companies. I've got Kramer's Kodiak Guide Service, which is like my Sitka black-tailed deer, mountain goats, and then I do some bear. But Adventure Mountain Hunts is like a booking agency that I have where I help out multiple outfitters that I actually still do guide with and help them book their hunts. But I still guide there. I go there taking most of the hunters myself as well. So it's pretty confusing. The best is just send me a message and we'll talk it over.
All right. Dude, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's been a great day.
Thanks for snatching wads with us earlier.
Yeah, man. That was wonderful.
So great. All right, guys. Have a good one.